You're taking the action, you're working hard, you feel like you're doing the mindset work. So why the hell do you keep experiencing the same results? I was in this spot for a long time, and now that I'm finally out of it, seeing the results that I want, I realize what it was the whole time. And to explain this, I'm going to get a little scientific here to show you why this is happening on a quantum and neurological level and what you can do to change it, because it's actually pretty simple, and I wish I did this sooner. What's up? My name is Sabrina, and welcome back to the channel. Here in the Better You space, we teach creatives, dreamers, and entrepreneurs how to train their minds to make their daydreams their real daily lives. If you're looking for a full transformation, feel free to check out one-on-one mentorship or our online signature program, Unleash Your Life. The links will be left in the description below, and let's get into it. Now, okay, stay with me here because I know these teachings can be a bit to wrap your mind around if you're newer to them. It definitely took me learning it again and again to truly understand it. And if you're already used to these teachings, then hell yes, let's talk about it. Now, quantum physics is basically the study of matter and energy. It explains how our universe is made up of and how we create our individual realities. I promise this will only take a second to explain. After doing extensive research on the behavior of atomic particles, the atoms that make up everything you see and everything in our universe, researchers have found that these atoms actually are way more energy than they are actual matter. And this is important because they have found that atoms actually exist in pure potential wave form. And I want you to think of this pure potential wave form as these atoms holding the potential to be absolutely anything, anywhere, anytime. Okay, so like the infinite number of potentials and realities exist in these atoms, in these potential waveforms. And these electrons in these atoms only collapse into physical form when there has been a state of consciousness placed on them. State of consciousness is kind of a fancy word for mindset or our awareness. And the way in which these electrons in the atoms collapse into physical form is all filtered through our state of consciousness. They take the physical form in which our awareness expects it to. Are you staying with me here? These atoms that are in this wave form have the potential to collapse in an infinite number of different possibilities. This would be the results you are seeking. You have access to these infinite number of possibilities, infinite potential of results at any point in time. You have access to them now. But the way in which we create our results, manifest our results, put our awareness onto these electrons and atoms that cause them to manifest in these specific ways is all filtered through and dependent on our state of consciousness. So what makes up our state of consciousness? This is our thoughts, emotions, beliefs, identity, and assumptions. Now we can be doing practices to train our minds to shift our state of consciousness, but still be experiencing the same results. And why is that? Our bodies and minds are very intelligent, and it creates these automated systems for us so that in our daily lives, we don't have to consciously think about doing every single little thing. Imagine if you had to consciously think about absolutely everything you're doing when you're driving your car, right? Thinking about, oh, I have to adjust my mirror, and oh, I have to sit back in my seat, and oh, I have to put my head up, and oh, I have to grab the brindle and put it into drive, and I have to put my foot slowly off the brake and ease onto the gas, right? These are so many conscious thoughts. We don't have the conscious space to be consciously thinking about all of these tiny little things. Oh, and then I have to take a deep breath in. Oh, and I have to take a deep breath out, and I have to say, oh, and I have to talk, like, we just can't, right? So that's why our bodies and minds have made so many things on autopilot. That's why we have our subconscious mind. And this automates 90 to 95% of our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. How we are automated and programmed to think, feel, and behave is dependent on what we were shown growing up, on how our circumstances were, on the belief systems that we were portrayed, and on the behaviors that we also now mirror. So this is great in helping us live our daily lives so that we can spend our mental energy, solving problems and doing different things. The only thing about this is when we realize that we want to change our programming and we want to shift our automated ways of being to create different results, it can feel difficult because our minds and bodies have been trained to be in this old way. It has a lot of momentum, right? All of these gears are turning and they have momentum behind them. They have weight behind them. There have been many neural pathways paved, certain thoughts that are just on autopilot. There's muscle memory. Emotional patterns have been memorized and your body gets kind of used to and addicted, you could say, to certain emotional patterns. And it all goes on in the background. So it's not even something that you naturally, consciously think about, which is why sometimes it can take a great deal of self-reflection and self-awareness to realize what some of these automatic patterns are that we'd like to switch ourselves out of. This is our subconscious mind's programming. It's like our operating system. It's like our software. It operates 90 to 95% of our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Then we go about our day thinking the same things, feeling the same way, taking the same actions or having the same habits, and wondering why we're not experiencing different results. It's because your state of consciousness as a whole is the same. And your state of consciousness is responsible for how these atoms collapse into physical form. And most likely, it's going to take more than just a few affirmations to shift your entire state of consciousness. Think about it. You have probably doubted yourself for years. You have probably had poor beliefs around money for years. This equals to many, many, many neural pathways being formed. So say you have all of these neural pathways and emotional patterns that are saying, you can't do it. You're not worth it. Who do you think you are? Yet you have been trying to gain the confidence to quit your 9-to-5 and pursue starting up your own online clothing brand. And you keep experiencing self-sabotage. It's not because you're not actually capable of creating this. It's because your mind's programming is stopping you, that 90 to 95%. Say you have all of these neural pathways and emotional patterns that are saying money is hard to come by. You have to work really, really hard to make enough money to live a luxury lifestyle. I am not someone who has a lot of money. You have all of these neural pathways and emotional patterns that are in relation to this, that are ingrained in your subconscious, running on autopilot every day. And you might be doing your money visualization meditation in the mornings. You might be saying your affirmations before you go to bed. And this is all great. Seriously, like if you're doing this, it's already way more than the majority of people. But when you think about it, yes, doing a morning visualization practice and saying some affirmations are making an impact on your state of consciousness, on your neural pathways, right? It is starting to make some shifts. But compared to the mass of contradicting beliefs that still exist in your state of consciousness, that still exists in your subconscious mind and your programming, it may take more mind training to outweigh the mass, especially at first. Now, tons of people have seen results from simply just doing one visualization meditation every morning. And like that's their one piece of mind training work that they'll do. And this works for a lot of people. This may be because they don't have too many contradicting beliefs to run up against. So that one meditation allows them to shift their state of consciousness enough to then believe that they have results and then put their awareness on and create these results. Okay, but there are also tons of people who may try doing just a visualization meditation in the morning, every morning, and they're still not seeing the results. So I'm speaking to these people who want to see results faster and easier. And if this is you, I highly suggest raising the amount of time you spend on your mind training work every day. Because if you're doing these practices and still not seeing results, it's not because this work doesn't work. It's most likely because you have more mass that you're up against. Okay, more contradicting beliefs that you're up against. And you just have to keep eating away at it until we start to outweigh it. And then, you have the state of consciousness that you want. You're starting to put your awareness on and manifest and create what you want. And I mean, you don't have to raise the amount of time that you spend doing your mind training work. You don't have to do this. I'm not forcing you, but it will bring your manifestations to you and the results you want to you much faster. Considering that this is a primary factor that is shifting your state of consciousness, that allows you to collapse these atoms into different physical forms and create an entirely different and desirable results for yourself, I would say that this is a pretty big deal. I would say that this is something that is worth spending your time on. Now, I actually made a 3-part workbook to be your daily guide in training your mind so that you can create the results that you want to. It's simple yet powerful, and I will leave the link for that in the description below so you can download it. And let me know in the comments how you like it, because I really want to see you guys utilizing this stuff. I really want to see you guys seeing the shifts in your results from doing this work, because it works. You just have to commit to it. Now, lately, and I'm not perfect with this, but lately, I've been doing some kind of intentional mind training work 3 times a day for around 15 minutes each, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. And then throughout the day, when I think about my desire or my manifestation, I do my best to make sure that I'm only thinking about it in the way that I want to see it. And this is me consciously creating my reality. This is me constantly shifting my state of consciousness so I can put my awareness and experience a different reality. And doing this 3 times a day, I've had people tell me like, wow, that's a lot of time to be spending on this. I just want to shift that perspective because is it really a lot of time? In the grand scheme of things, I want to explain to you how I do this so that you can see how easy it really can be. So when I wake up in the morning and I go to my sink and I wash my face and I brush my teeth, I just have my list of affirmations in front of me on my phone, on the notes app of my phone, and I'll start looking over them so I can remind myself of what I'm putting my focus on. And I'll start going on a self-talk rampage as I'm just getting ready for my day. I'll be putting on my mascara and I'll be saying my affirmations and I'm allowing myself to experience the emotions of what I want to call in. Of like, yes, it feels good now that I have this and I'm so grateful to be experiencing this. And I really don't go out of my way to do anything extra. And this is just my mind training routine right now. I ebb and flow with my practices. Sometimes I'll sit down and intentionally like do visualization meditations. But right now, this is what I'm doing, what's working for me. So then when I make my lunch, I'll do the same thing. I'll be making my sandwich and I'll just be talking to myself as if the manifestation is here. Driving to and from the gym in the evening, I'll do the same thing. And the car is honestly, like when you're driving in the car, that's honestly such an amazing time to be doing this because you're stuck in the car anyway. Like you might as well utilize that time to just like go off and start rampaging of everything that you want to experience as if you have it now. And you can make this a fun practice. Like it doesn't have to be like, oh, another thing I have to do. No, it can be really fun and exciting and something to look forward to. And will there be days where you really don't feel like doing your mind training focus work? For sure, I don't doubt it. We're human. But honestly, it's worth it in the end to muster up some energy to just start because it's like that chore you keep putting off. It's like when you see the dishes pile up and you're like, oh, like I really don't want to do the dishes. But then when you start doing the dishes, you're like, oh, this actually really isn't that bad. And it was like the idea of it was bigger than the actual act of doing it. That's how it can be sometimes doing this work. On the days you really don't feel like doing it, but you show up anyway because persistence is the key when it comes to training your mind, you end up being like, oh yeah, this actually isn't bad. And I'm glad that I ended up pushing through and doing it anyway because I ended up feeling so much better. And it just continues to build and build day after day, continuously to ingrain your neural pathways. Your body begins to remember these new emotional patterns. And you begin to shift your state of consciousness. You really have to view it like a scale. Like the amount of beliefs and thoughts and emotions that you have spent on what you don't want in the past, you will have to outweigh it with the beliefs and thoughts of emotions of what you do want in order to create that shift in your state of consciousness. Your state of consciousness, like your mind is like I've used this analogy before. It's like a garden. It's like soil. It's like whatever you plant in it, it will accept. So we need to make sure that we're planting more of what we do want and it will start to accept that. So especially at first, when you start doing this work and you know you have a lot of limiting beliefs to battle up against, or especially if you're just wanting to manifest something really fast, spend your day just daydreaming about already having it. Devote yourself to doing this work when you can throughout your day. Put so much emotion and emphasis behind it to really maximize the effort that you're putting towards it. The more emotion you have behind something, the stronger you're ingraining it into your mind. I also made a video on 7 different tools that you can use to train your mind. I highly suggest you check that out after finishing this one if you want to see different practices that you can ebb and flow with to really weave this work into your daily life. And I want you to make this your lifestyle, not just something you practice for a week and fall off. I mean, this is your life that we're talking about here. The love you experience in your day, the fulfillment you feel in your heart, the impact you're making on the world. It's worth it to make it a part of your lifestyle. You practice your mind training work just like you eat your 3 meals a day. You practice this work just as you get dressed in the morning. You practice this work just as you have the habit of driving to and from work. Practicing your mind training work is just a part of who you are. It's just what you do. So when you keep experiencing the same result, I want you to ask yourself, what in my state of consciousness is still experiencing the same thing? How can I shift my state of consciousness to resemble what I do want? And you will get to a point where your state of consciousness has shifted so much where you will end up being in this bliss-like knowing state where you know your desire has already happened. And this is our goal to get to when it comes to this mind training work, where you have influenced your mind and trained your mind so much to where your brain chemistry actually thinks that it has already happened. And when you get to this point, you won't be looking around asking where it's at because you will feel it so strongly. You know that it's here. There isn't a shadow of a doubt that is questioning if it's here or not. And it's at this point that the desire cannot help but to come into fruition, to collapse into that physical form, to be magnetically attracted to you. It is quantum law, but you have to hold this state. If you get to this knowing state of when you feel it so strongly and you let yourself start to entertain the ideas of, oh, but I don't have it yet, then you're starting to wire in neural pathways that say, I don't have it yet. Dedicate yourself to doing this mind training work as if your life depends on it, because it does, and you will see incredible, incredible results. Please let me know in the comment section what you liked about this video. Leave a brain emoji so I know who made it to this point. Give it a thumbs up to help out the channel. Subscribe and hit the bell button to be notified every time I post a new one. And I will see you in the next video.